Hello there. Yes, this is Now Tell Us. We are here yet again. Always a good time to share with you, to bring in conversations that are going to help us in our daily life. And everything that we do is always good to seek some advice, to exchange ideas. And this is one of those times that I, as Anthony, as your presenter, as your host, is asking some questions about home studio because I'm here. I just try to do my very level best with what I have, but my podcast is growing. So I won't take much more time speaking because I know the guest today has some great insights into this topic, the power of a home studio. Junaid Ahmed is going to be here shortly. Please, if you have a question, ask. If you can give us a comment on any area, just comment and we will appreciate. Remember to share this episode with all your friends. Yeah, thank you. If you're ready, join me as we go to learn something today from Junaid Ahmed. Here we go. Hi, Junaid.
Hey Anthony, so happy to be here, man. How you doing today?
Happy to be here too. I'm good. I'm doing good. And thank you for coming to my show.
Absolutely, man, Anthony. It's a pleasure to be here and super excited for the conversation.
Yeah, and also very excited to have you here because first and foremost, let me start by saying that I'm shy. Not generally, but specifically for this episode, because for those of us who can see, our screens are totally different.
hmm I totally
Your
agree.
yours will look like a TV station. You're looking good. You're bright. Your background is has got some bright colors. Wow, that's a home studio, isn't it?
It definitely is, and it didn't all start like this, right? It all
Okay.
starts with a very simple setup and an intention on okay, what is it that we really want out of it? Now,
Uh-huh.
if you looked at my studio setup back in 2019, it was worse than what you've got going on. So kudos to you, my brother.
Oh, thank you. I saw you and I said, oh, maybe I can bring Junaid on and we speak a bit because I would want to hear some tips and get some secrets, and then so that my podcast can improve as we go along.
Absolutely, man. I'm happy to share. I'm always enjoy talking about studios, enjoy talking about the technology, enjoy talking about the impact a good studio does on not only our audience but also the hosts of the show.
Yeah, and also the audience could be interested. I know there are many people who also do podcasts, or they are dreaming to do what we are doing
hmm
right now, and maybe much more. So it would be good to hear from you how to go about it. How did this? And first and foremost, where are you?
So I'm in Herndon, Virginia, close to the capital of the United States.
Okay, that's great. And how did this journey start for you? We can begin there. Because you say
Absolutely. So,
there's somewhere that you started. Every one of us has somewhere that we start. So where did it start for you?
well, it started with my fascination for cameras way back in the 80s when
Mm-hmm.
I was gifted a film camera. And since then, I've taken photos, I've taken, played around with it in my teenage years. And as I grew older, I just had the fascination of capturing photography, and it grew into then capturing videos. Now, the amazing thing that happened back in 2007 was the introduction of the iPhone. The
Mm-hmm.
iPhone came out and it said, "Hey, we've combined a lot of the technologies that we're playing with into a single device." Now, it wasn't till 2010 when we can actually create high-end quality videos using our smartphones,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Mm-hmm.
as I discovered these, as I'm exploring all of this, my passion is growing. And then it wasn't until 2013 that I acquired a DSLR camera, a
Okay.
digital, right, a digital single lens reflector camera where you can replace the lens and you can just take really high quality photography and
Mm-hmm.
videos. So
Mm-hmm.
as I'm exploring this camera, I was like, okay, I need to learn every single thing that I can about this camera.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, for 2 decades, I had been taking photos, I had been taking videos, but not at the level of professional photographers and filmmakers. So
Mm-hmm.
as I took on this journey to learn from amazing folks teaching these courses on photography and videography, framing the shot, figuring out all of these things, it also took me into Hollywood video production. How
Mm.
are they creating the different shots, the different angles? Like, what is the purpose of the different types of angles? So, I learned so much that I started implementing this in short stories and documentaries and really got deep into it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
fast forward to 2016, I joined a few meetups where other filmmakers and other script writers and producers were coming together to create short films, documentaries, and like, okay, let's put all of this to the test.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put it all together. So it was really fun. It was really fascinating. And as we all know, the pandemic accelerated a lot of the things that we have experienced.
Yeah.
So 2020, I was already podcasting. I was already creating a ton of content. I was only focusing on the audio because I wanted to get my message out. I wanted to introduce people to the platform that I had created. But in 2020, something changed. We started to spend a lot of time in front of our computers, in front of our cameras.
Yeah.
And when I saw what I saw in that camera, I did not like it. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, wait, I have the background from Hollywood. I have the experience of creating high quality documentaries and short films. Why not put those two things together?
Yeah.
And from the mentors around, for example, Pat Flynn, creating live streams every single day on YouTube. There's office hours with Alex. He's been doing live streams for the past 1,000 days. They have not stopped. And so they started sharing these really elaborate and really clean looking sets.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wait, this is really interesting because more than half the equipment that they're talking about, I already own. So why
Mm-hmm.
not put it into use? So I put all those things together and started people started seeing the quality of my video level up, and they were like, okay, this is really interesting, Junaid. What are you doing? How are you able to create such high level of video quality? And I was like, well, this is what I'm doing. And people started coming to me and asking for advice on what should I be doing. And I started consulting and eventually created a course around it called Home Studio Mastery, and also did a few challenges, 5-day challenge where we're talking about the lights, the cameras, the room layout, the studio design, like all of the things that are involved in creating a really high quality studio. So
Mm-hmm.
the more I taught people, the more I helped them create the space, the more um, I, s- I started to be known as the home studio architect. So I call myself the home studio architect. I've helped several hundred people set up their studios and through my programs. and it's just been an amazing, fascinating journey.
Wow. Yeah. And looking at you, we can tell. I'm going to in the next shot. I'm going to give the audience a bigger view of you so that they can see exactly what it is happening. And
Sure.
now, can you tell us how to achieve what we see on your screen? How do we achieve that? Maybe a few steps,
Sure.
several
I'll
things.
walk you through I'll walk you through the stuff that I teach in my home studio rehab challenges, the 5-day challenges. I actually have
Okay,
one coming up in March. So
okay. Go ahead.
the first thing that we focus on is focus on your room, because we have a lot of different styles of room. We have windows, we have doors. So when you focus on the setup of your room, how it's layout, you can then start to see, okay, I have window in my shot. I don't want a window in my shot. I want to have a background. I want to have a space that I can show off. Now, as I was going through this journey, I ended up creating a wood wall on one of these walls because I wanted a look that I saw somebody else was sporting. But then as I started adding layers and layers and angles to my studio, it enabled to it it enabled me to share with the audience what I'm actually doing. Now, this room looks really huge, but actually a small room, about 12 feet by 12 feet. And because of the type of the lens and the camera that I'm using, it's able to compress that room and make it look much smaller, or compress the image in a way that it looks much bigger. So number one, focus on the room layout. Figure out all the things that you have. Now, Anthony, you have a really nice setup because you got this beautiful, beautiful bookshelf behind you, and I could see the two books that you've written. You know, I'm sure you've written a lot more books, but I see that in your background. So you've got that set up down pat, like it looks beautiful. The next thing that I focus on is the talent lighting. You've got good lighting on you. You can see yourself, and I would love to demo what I mean by focus on good lighting. So if I were to go into my little software over here with HomeKit, I'm able to turn off all the cameras and all the lights in my setup. So let me go ahead and do that. Here I've turned off all my lights in my studio. So the first thing that I focus on is layering the lights. So we're painting with lights. So first thing that I want to add is a key light. This key light is focused on the talent, which is you. It's make sure that your face is fully lit and people can see you no matter if none of the lights are available in the room. Then I add a softbox, which enables to add a little more dimension into the room, and you can see a little more of my background, a little more of my shoulders and whatnot. Then I add a hair light so that you can see my shoulder lit up. You can see the top of my head lit up. This is something called a hair light, and you'll notice if you pay attention to TV shows and movies, you'll start noticing that every single person has a hair light because they want to differentiate or separate the person from the background and not uh, blend in. Then I've added some lights into my shelf back here that highlight the accent of the shelf. And then added another light called a floodlight, which is a very cheap a very cheap expense, and it just lights up the entire shelf and brings the entire background together.
Wow, wow. That must be quite a ton of money just for the lights only. That's a ton of money.
It's not, so here's the thing, right? You don't need to spend a ton of money to get
Mm,
this kind of look, because just the overhead floodlight that's lighting up my bookshelf is $15-$20,
okay.
really cheap. Then
Hmm.
the main lights that I've got, they are a few, anywhere from $50-$60 to a couple of $100. But again, you're not going to spend this money all at once. You could, but you could also upgrade as you go. I mean,
Hmm.
when you bought the bookshelf, Anthony, did you buy all the books all at the same time? I got to
Not
fill up this
really.
book. Not
I
at
bought
all,
one
right?
by one.
You add one by one, just like that. You're upgrading your studio one by one, adding different elements to, create that experience that is more you than anything else.
Hmm. And how do I know when I got to look at the lights? How do I know just the right light that I should buy? Because I see they have some wavelengths. I don't know. I have
Yes.
there's I don't know what. Tell us those terminologies, the jargon of
Absolutely. So some of the lights, so a lot of the lights that you can purchase, they come with different, the different color Kelvin temperatures. So different temperature or color temperatures that you can adjust in these lights. What we're trying to do is we're trying to emulate real life as much as possible. Now our eyes are have the power, the ability to do white color balance all the time, but the cameras, they don't have that ability. So
Mhm.
to enable that for the cameras, you want to use daylight white lights instead of these soft yellow lights which creates a yellow tone on your body. You want to create daylight, you use the daylight bright whites because that will create the most accurate representation of what you look like in person.
Yeah. So
So
when I go to the shop, and how do I ask for that light? That is what Kelvin is it? How what
so
range is?
it's anywhere from 4500 to 5000, or 5000 and above is the Kelvin color rating that you're looking for. Now all of
Okay.
that helps you get there, especially if you're using a webcam. But
Mm-hmm.
when you add the camera, the type of camera that I'm using, you're able to control the white balance in the camera so that no matter what color lights are coming in, the camera knows to cancel out the tone so that it shows the white colors as accurate as possible.
Mm. Wow, coming from the lights, going to cameras. Tell us, introduce us to the cameras. I'm using a webcam.
Yes.
Okay, it's not fixed on the computer. It's an
Mhm.
external one, which I believe is much better than the laptop.
It's a lot better than and what you get on your laptop. Now,
Yeah.
before we go to the cameras, I would recommend that you focus on the audio.
Okay.
Why? Because people want to hear you more than they want to see your video.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, we use language to speak with, communicate our message. So if you're heard more clearly on a live stream, because a lot of time people might not be watching the video, but they are still going to be paying attention with their two ears. So
Mm-hmm.
if they can hear you much clearly, they automatically think you are smarter than a lot of people. So the quality of the audio is going to dictate if you sound smarter or not so much.
How am I doing so far?
You're doing pretty good. I mean, you've got the confidence because you have been doing a lot of episodes. There is a little bit of echo. I'm not sure what type of microphone you're using. So if you were to add a microphone that's gonna eliminate the echo and bring the depth of your voice into the conversation, it's going to totally change the game.
I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put that in place, and especially now that I happen to be attracting some big names somewhere. I don't
There you
know.
go. There
It
you
goes
go.
step by step. The next guest that is going to be here is someone who's, oh, let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
So I'll be shy in interviewing him because he's somewhere up, and so I've got to step up. I've got to
Well,
lift up.
Anthony, you are already stepping up to. Let me tell you one thing, my friend. After
Yeah.
interviewing over 400 people
Hmm.
on my own podcast, I've learned one thing, and interacting with a ton of people in person. The one thing that I've learned, no matter which level you get to in
Hmm.
your life, we're always going to have doubts in ourselves. So
Mm.
somebody who's making $1 billion a year, they're going to have the same doubts that you have currently. Why? Because we're all human and human nature is exactly the same, no matter what you've been able to do. with your life and with your experience. So you go and get a man. I think you're doing amazing. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that compliment. Let me believe you. Now,
Absolutely.
when you put it that way, I have to ask you this question. Now, Junaid, with the way he's looking, with the way that he's sounding, do you still sit there and think, oh, I need to advance this thing and this other thing? Do you still, there are still some things that you've not got right?
Absolutely, man. Every single day, I'm thinking, okay, how can I make this better? How can I
Mm,
make this better? Like, my room is a mess right now. I've got boxes from different things here. I've got boxes here. Like, there's a ton of mess that you don't see behind the scene. And
oh,
that's something called blocking. In the Hollywood terminology, when I took my Hollywood class, they're like, you got to think of blocking. You're
mm,
blocking a shot, you're blocking the set so that the camera only sees a certain number of things. Now, that bookshelf looks really beautiful because
yeah.
everything is blurred out. But if I were to focus it in, like, oh my God, what a mess. So when I look back there, I'm like, okay, I gotta clean this, I gotta clean that. So yes, I do have those growing pains, and I do double check myself as well. Okay, I've got a really nice setup, but I can work a little better on this area. So yes, we all like I said, we're all human beings. We all have the same mindset. We all have the same. There's a terminology. There's a fitra, right? There's our human nature
Mm,
stays the same.
okay. So I take that from you. Now let's go. Let's go to the camera.
All right, so the cameras that I use are using mirrorless lenses. So they're called mirrorless cameras or interchangeable lens cameras. They have a lot bigger sensor than the cameras in our pockets or the cameras in our computers. Now, I usually have props here in my studio, but if I were to give you an example of what the difference is between the lens that's in the sensor that is in my camera versus the sensor that's in a smartphone, I would show you this little box over here. Let's see. There we go. So let's say this is the size of sensor on my camera. Let
Hmm.
me get this piece of little paper over here. So that would be the size of the sensor on a webcam. So
Okay.
that little dot. So what's happening is that there's very limited space and very limited. It's a lot smaller sensor, so it's only able to do so much.
Hmm.
And it all comes down to physics because with physics, you already know that the larger the surface area, the more pixels, the more energy it's able to extract from the actual image. Now,
Yeah.
our eyes are really powerful, right? They're on another level, so we can see details past 24K, or it's like unbelievable how far we can look and how much detail we are able to accomplish. But the technology that's in these cameras, they can only do so much. So here's the example again. So this little white dot, this little yellow dot is how small a sensor would be on a webcam versus
Mhm.
the black box is the size of the sensor on the cameras that I recommend.
Okay.
So yeah, that's where you want to begin. So want to start with a camera that's a affordable and that can do the justice and bring that natural charisma that we all have on
Any
camera.
specifications?
So I recommend any camera that has an APS-C lens, which is called a crop sensor. A crop sensor camera. So an APS-C. So Sony A6400 or Sony. I think even the EV110 or the Canon M200, Canon M50. These are the baseline cameras that do really good, and you can get really good quality out of them. And then if you want to go higher, of course, there's always place that you can go even higher.
Yeah. And how do you connect a normal camera to your computer? Yeah, like if you're using a webcam and you want to connect now a normal camera or
Right.
that.
So
Mhm.
to be able to connect a normal or a DSLR camera to your computer, you'll need something called an HDMI capture card. So
Okay.
what's happening is the webcam already has the connectivity.
Hmm.
Am I frozen?
Yeah, you're kind of frozen now. Okay,
All right,
here
so
you
this
are.
camera is okay. This
Yeah.
camera needs to wake up. And
Oh, yeah. Now I agree with you when you tell me that there is always room for improvement. There's a
yes,
sleep. There's a sleepy camera.
yes, sleepy camera. I mean, I had rebooted it
The battery
before,
pack.
so I can talk to you over here. Right.
Yeah, I see.
So it all
That's
comes down to how you set it up, and so the capture card essentially it converts the HDMI output from the camera into a USB, so that you can then use a high duty, heavy duty camera like this
okay.
into a shot that's readable by your computer.
Yeah, I think I, because I was trying to, we all tried to learn things. So I was searching on Google. I saw something like that, but I had to confirm from an expert who
Of
is
course.
Junaid.
Thank you.
So that's where I'm gonna start because I've been having this challenge with this external webcam,
Hmm.
and then I realized just the other day that, oh, I have a normal camera. This thing, I can use it, and so that's something that is
Yes.
going to be coming soon. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
if you
get.
tell me which camera it is, I can tell you exactly what you need to add on
I
to
have
make sure that you work.
I have a Sony a oh, what's this now? Lens. What do you call it? Where is the right name?
The right
Um,
name should be on either on the
HDR CX 190.
HRCX 190. Okay, I'll have to look that one up.
Okay, it's a Sony
Okay.
HD.
Yeah, message me and then we'll figure out what you need for that device to work.
Okay. Anything else that is of utmost importance before we log off?
Yeah, so make sure you get started no matter what camera you have because we do have $1,000 camera in our pockets. So get started, record content, get comfortable in front of the camera so that when you do level up and start creating content, your comfort level is already there. So that's
Hmm.
what I recommend. Don't worry about spending a ton of money on anything. We already have really good light with the windows. Uh, the microphones on these phones are really good. So I always recommend people just get started, start creating content on a daily basis so that you get comfortable. Just like when somebody wants to run a marathon, what do they start doing? They start run every day because
Mm-hmm.
they want to build that muscle. When you want to do some writing, what you do when you want to write a book? What did you do, Anthony? You started
You just
writing. So you
yeah.
just get started. You just get moving, and then you'll learn what you need to change as you go.
And talking of being comfortable in front of the camera, I think there is uh, something that you do with the client, with those who are. What do you do to help them get comfortable in front of the camera? You have something, I think.
Yes, so I do a 30-day challenge where every single day you're creating a video.
Mm-hmm.
And each day I email you a prompt that all you got to do is read the prompt, answer the question in the video format. It needs to be, anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute. And what you're doing is starting to work that muscle and starting to um, create the content with video and starting to share it with the world. And if you're not comfortable sharing with the world, that's totally fine too. At least you're taking the action to work and get better in speaking to the camera.
Hmm. Wow, wow. So today been a great lesson at Now Tell Us. Junaid has been here telling us all about home studios and the power of it. So we thank you. We really, really much, Junaid, for coming to this show. You've left me more courageous, more confident than I was before,
Absolutely, brother.
even though my screen is looking duller than yours.
No, you look beautiful, man. Don't.
The next time that you come, I promise to have a better screen.
Absolutely. We,
Yeah.
we 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 grow, we grow slowly, and we just keep going.
Mm. Yeah. So I know there is someone who's watching or listening who has said, I need that course on how to set it up. I need to see all the details, all the specifications of the lamps, the
Hmm.
cameras that I can use. There's also
Yeah.
someone who has heard you and said, oh, I need that challenge to be confident in front of the camera so that I
Nice.
can be like Junaid one day, be like Junaid, presenting with confidence, having that not only the studio but also the confidence to present. How can they reach you?
So just head on over to homestudiomastery.com, scroll to the bottom of the page, and enter your email address to the subscription down there. And as soon as the challenge is launching, we'll start sending you emails, and so that you can be signed up for the challenge.
Okay. Wow, that's good. So go to www.homestudiomastery.com. Connect with Junaid, get camera confident, and also know how to set up your home studio because it's powerful. I'm gonna be learn. I've already learned too much from Junaid, so I'm gonna follow up with how you had. He promised me he's gonna send me specifications of how I'm going to make this picture better.
Love it.
Thank you very much in advance, Junaid.
You're welcome, of
I
course, man.
appreciate it.
Happy to help.
Yes, so that's about it for today. At Now Tell Us, we really appreciate you. Let me say thank you again for coming to our
You're
show.
welcome, Anthony.
Yes, and to all our viewers, all the listeners, we thank you also for taking your time and watching. And remember to share this with all your friends. Yeah, tell them that it's important to have a good home studio and also get the confidence to present. And they can always learn that from Junaid. Thank you. Go and do it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. And yeah, build your confidence by starting. Take that step. We all have these smartphones. Just create video content. If even if you're talking to your best friend, even if you're talking to your siblings or your mother, you're just building that confidence to create the content. And the more you speak, the better you'll get at it. So get started. Um, Go over to homestudiomastery.com, sign up to be uh, alerted about the next challenge that's coming up in March. Five, it's called the 5 Day Challenge Home Studio Rehab. We're going to talk about analyzing your room, designing your studio, figuring out audio, camera, and lighting. Thanks so much, Anthony.
Yeah, thanks once again. And that's it. That's it. This has been Now Tell Us. I have been your host, Anthony Mwerore. And together with our guest today, Junaid Ahmed, we are saying bye for now. Bye.